different hat indeed. So no talk about poo for me today, no talk about Strathclyde, you'll all be pleased to hear. So I am wearing a different hat, but I would like to start by just referring to the two people over on the far side of that photograph. They are David and Kathleen Thompson, and in 2001 they first came out to Malawi to visit their daughter. Their daughter had decided to go off gallivanting to Malawi to do her PhD. That was me. And they needed to check out who this American was that she thought she was going to start dating. Now, my mum and dad, as with most people who come out to Malawi, fell in love with the place. They really saw a lot of need, wanted to help, and the large majority of people in this room, and the talks that we all heard in the other room as well, much of the work and support that comes out of that has come from those kind of relationships. And so they wanted to do something, whatever they could do. And so they started to gather a group of like-minded friends from their community and think about developing from Scotland. They thought it was such a clever name, but really when you start writing things like from Scotland, it's a little bit more tricky, and coming back to Steve's point about keeping things clear. But they've done an incredible job. And really today, what I just wanted to do is try and capture what I hope is the essence of what many of these small charities, and as Stuart mentioned, with Caroline and with Emma and with all of the different ones as well with Mammy Martin, that we really need to make sure that we're supporting. So the average age of From Scotland is well into their 70s, which makes them incredible. We're trying to bring the average age down a wee bit. And over the years, they've raised an incredible amount of money, which I'll come on to. And those funds raised have done a wide range of different things, mostly linked to work that I was doing when based in Malawi, and colleagues continue to do now as well. Go Tash. So that could be anything there from providing Lukuni Pala and feeding programs. So for 20 years we've provided Lukuni Pala. The last 15, I can give numbers, but that's over 1.5 tons of fortified maize porridge every month that feeds over 300 children a day. That's incredible, but it means raising £16,000 a year in order to be able to maintain that and continue to support that. But not only that, the funds they've raised have built village health clinics, a high dependency unit at Chikwawa District Hospital, health worker accommodation, solar water systems, and repaired existing facilities as well when they've fallen into disrepair. They've built a hostel, one of our finest things, that accommodates 48 girls. It currently has 72 girls staying in it so that they can stay in secondary education. You heard Moira talk about the challenges of that earlier. One of those girls has just come out top in the last year in the MSc, which makes us very proud. But building classrooms and libraries and early childhood development centres, providing cooking equipment, providing scholarships for these students to continue, scholarships for students who are now beginning to finish, degree programmes as well that have gone through our different programmes, and humanitarian support from all of the different floods and cyclones and droughts that we see hit different parts of Malawi as well. They're with immediate response, but not only immediate response, also being able to go in with long-term support as well to recultivate crops and things, for example. So a huge amount that I'm very, very proud of. And I always say, well, my job hasn't really been doing a lot of the fundraising. My job's been the privilege of spending the money a lot of the time. But what have they done to raise all that money? Well, since 2005, they've raised £750,000, which is amazing, right? I do think it's genuinely amazing. And that is not from receiving any large donations or anything like that. It really comes from coffee mornings, because Aberdeenshire loves a fine piece, a homemade piece and a nice fly and unused. So, we need to be able to capture that sense of community, that trust that Steve mentioned as well. Afternoon teas. Just 2 weeks ago, a soup and sandwich, because as we can see, winter is coming and it's not time for scones anymore, it's time for soup. All these events that are tables with produce, the kind of things you see here today, but also an incredible amount of jam. I've never seen people who can make as much jam, and you'd be amazed how much money you can make from selling jam. Golf days, open gardens, gift cards and Christmas gifts, silver band concerts, convincing anyone that they meet that does something interesting to come and give a talk or have a concert and do these things. Monthly direct debits, and we have received a couple of substantial endowments from individuals as well over the years too. And we'd never have imagined any of this as possible when we first set out to hopefully, support a couple of early childhood development centres with some Lukuni Pala for a few months and do a little bit of a part. So just for some key points for me to end up, I completely agree with everything that Steve said earlier. And I'm in the middle of writing a grant application and I was like, yeah, that's really good to refer back to that and remind myself when I read it again. And I think some of the points are key, but I think one key thing for here is many a mickle makes a muckle. Like, we can often look at these big grants and needing to have these huge amounts of money, but actually we all know that a small amount goes a very long way if spent the right way in Malawi. And so it is so important that these small charities get their support as well. We have an incredible amount of community buy-in and trust from the people who live in Aberdeenshire. You see the same faces turn up at different events, but also new faces come in. They are told the stories of the people that are supported, what's gone on, what's been supported there as well. And that transparency about where the money goes. It came through myself when I lived in Malawi, it goes through my colleague and friend Kondwani Chizwisano now in Malawi, who manages all of that for us. None of us get paid to do that, not on this end, not on the Malawi end either. We pay for fuel out of the donations for the car to deliver the Lukuni Pala on a monthly basis, and that's it. And I think that's an important point for me as well. Often we say, we've raised £750,000, that's amazing. What will be interesting for me is to know how much money have all of those trustees and volunteers put in themselves over the years in those home-baked jams, things that they do for nothing, the cards they get printed off and things too. That's the investment they put into the lives of the people they're trying to support. Bringing in new people, new enthusiasm is always welcome because we do get tired. Chad and I noticed with the increasing average age, there's more grumpiness and intolerance in some of these events that we run together. But bringing in that new enthusiasm, young people, getting them engaged and excited about what's going on, and also using local trust because of that storytelling, that engagement. We often get small amounts of money for specific projects from local trusts as well. But really, it's about hard work, it's about dedication and passion, and it's about fun. It is fun. It's great to go back and see people, to have a good chat with a fine home bake and have a nice day out as well. And really lastly, just there about working with trusted partners too. So yeah, I think that was just my points, and I will leave it there.